This is One Fat Boy, and here are my NBA game predictions for February 8th of 2022. Tonight there is 10 games. I will be going over the spreads and over-unders for each of these games. For the Suns at the 76ers, I will be leaning towards Phoenix +2. It's hard to bet against the Suns this year, and with a plus spread, kind of hard to bet against that. They did play last night, but it was not a close game, but then it turned into a close game. So it's like the Stars did play decent minutes for the Suns, and then Philadelphia's been playing really good. I don't like the Suns. They have decent big men defenders. Like they'll have McGee and Ayton to slow down Embiid, and really pretty much. I think the Suns do have the tools to really slow down Embiid or make him have to work a little harder for his shots. Like he'll still get his points. It's like Joel Embiid at the end of the game, end of the night. He's like the likely MVP this year, but I think the Suns will be able to handle them. This will be a win for the Suns defense if they do come out with a win. That's why I'm leaning towards under 224.5, as I don't expect this game to turn out into a shootout, as the Sixers, they can play some defense too, and I think they'll have some various points in games where they slow down the Suns' offense, but overall, I think the Suns will sneak out with a win in a defensive game. For the Pacers at the Hawks, I'll be going with the Hawks -9. So this is the second half of the season. Hawks are right there, where pretty much they're just going to be winning a lot of games. Like the games that they have lost recently, it's one was second night of back-to-back and other against a tough team, and you're just going to have those games here and there, but you're playing the Pacers. The Pacers are struggling as of late. They're down Levert, as he's not on the Pacers anymore. So that's the scoring option that's not there. So got to rely a little bit more on the bench. And the Hawks mostly have everyone back. So you got your important players there with Collins, Trae Young, and Clinton Capella. So Hawks should win this game, no problem. -9, they should be winning by 15 if they want to solidify themselves as a better team in the league. But honestly, I just probably bump that spread down to -6, or just Hawks win. I will say that this should be a higher scoring game, as the Hawks can put up a lot of points, and I don't think Indiana's defense is really going to slow them down too much. And the Pacers, in turn, they can score a lot of points too. They'll probably have 105-ish, 110, somewhere in there. Enough to get this over a 222.5 type of game. For the Celtics at the Nets, so with Brooklyn playing so bad, it's hard to bet for them. So that's why I just got to go with Boston -5.5. Irving won't be playing because they're playing in Brooklyn. Therefore, all the weight's on Harden to guide the Nets to the win, which I think that's going to be a little too much. And I think Boston, they have too many tools. They've been playing much better as of late. They want to keep on rising up in the standings. And yeah, Boston should really take it to the Nets. It's this is a nearby rival team. They should just want to dumpster on them. If I was Boston, I'd try to win this game by 20. But somehow, some way, this will be a close game. That's just how Boston plays. And then if the Nets just have the hope there at the end, they can always just sneak by with a win. But I think Boston should win. I will be going over 218.5, as the Nets defense shouldn't slow down the Celtics at all. And then Celtics, they can play consistently on defense, but with Harden, if Harden just decides to play how he did, when he played on the Rockets, where he's just backpacking the whole team, Nets can still put up a lot of points. But I think overall, Boston should win and put up a lot of points. For the Clippers at the Grizzlies, it's hard to bet against the Grizzlies this year, so for sure bet for them to win. And then a -7.5 spread, I think that's more than doable. As long as Memphis can just hinder the shooting of the Clippers, and Memphis can just have Morant get to his spots, get his team involved. As long as Memphis just putting in the max effort that they've been putting in all year, they should come out with a win. And yeah, which especially getting all the loose balls and all the extra rebounds, that's just extra possessions for Memphis. That's just how they've been playing all year. So winning by more than 7.5 points, I think that's very possible for Memphis. If you're not feeling that, just maybe bump that down to 4.5 or just a Memphis win. But there's a reason why Memphis is third in the Western Conference and like third best record in the league. I will be going over 220.5 as Memphis, they do put up a lot of points, and their games usually are a little on the higher end too. And the Clippers, they can put up a lot of points as well just because of their three-point shooting. And if someone gets hot, they do get kind of hot. So I expect Clippers to keep it somewhat close. I don't expect the Clippers to be blown out in the first half. Maybe like down 10-ish, but not like a giant lead where it's like, yeah, this is done after like 18 minutes. But that's why I'm just going to lean towards over 220.5 as if this does go into garbage time, like that's just going to be free points for both sides. And if it stays close, it wasn't just because like both teams were cold. Like one team I just feel like is just going to play pretty well on offense. For the Rockets at New Orleans, I'll go with the Pelicans minus 7.5. So the last time these two teams played was their last game, and the score was 120-107, and the Pelicans won that while playing at Houston. So I kind of expect more of the same, but this time they're playing in New Orleans, so that should be a little boost for New Orleans. Maybe a chance for Houston to focus up and just focus on themselves. But I think New Orleans, they should just still come out with a win and just have like a similar type of game. Like, I believe the scoring will be the same as the defensive adjustments. Like, I know Houston, like they're for sure not known for their defense this year, and so it's like expect New Orleans to score like around 120, and then Houston maybe like a little less than 107, but it's like not too much less or like not too much more. Like this would probably end up being about the same type of score, same result type of game. So just kind of bet off that last game and just kind of look at the box score. Just see who's going to make the adjustment, or if anyone makes the adjustment. But I'd say it'd be relatively similar games to their last one. So that's why I'm taking Pelicans minus 7.5 and over 221.5. For Detroit at Dallas, I'll be going with Dallas minus 11.5. I think Dallas's defense will just really take it to the Pistons, and then who on the Pistons is going to slow down Luka? Answer is no one really. So, and as long as Reggie Bullock just keeps on playing how he's been playing, which is just hitting down his open threes and playing some good defense, it's hard to beat the Mavericks right now. But in turns, like Dallas has been beating good teams, but the teams that they have lost to, they've been bottom of the tier teams. So Detroit, they fit the bill. So maybe if you think that trend is going to continue, just maybe take that spread for Detroit plus 11.5. But if I was in my shoes, I'd just take Dallas winning. I think 11.5. Dallas should be able to cover that, like as long as they play like they should. They should, but knowing me, I'm a little bit risk adverse, so I'd maybe bump that down a few points to more like 7.5, 6.5, or just like a Dallas win in general. But under 218.5, as Dallas's defense should really like slow down Detroit. Like I won't be surprised if Detroit is in the 80s at the final. And Mavericks obviously not known for their scoring this year, like having crazy amounts, so safer bet like an under, so I'll be going under 218.5, just in case like Mavericks get like really hot and have like 130, but under 218.5. For the Knicks at Denver, I'll be going with Denver minus 7. It's just hard to bet for the Knicks this year. Then also they played last night, so that's another tick against them, and hence I'll be leaning towards Denver minus 7, and they're playing at home, so a tick for Denver to win. So I just like lean towards Denver winning this game. Minus 7, like they should. Like who on the Knicks can really slow down Jokic? And then just a better question is like who can slow down him? Nikola, reason why he's one of the MVP candidates so far, top 2, that's for sure. So expect him to have a good game. It's maybe one of those games where he does have like a really large amount of rebounds just because the Knicks throw up a lot of bricks, which almost kind of rhymes with their name. But We'll be going under 217.5 just because the Knicks offense, even though it has been playing better, I won't deny that. It's still not that great. Denver, they're almost kind of sporadic. They're scoring 2, but I expect them to at least score like 110, like somewhere around there. And the Knicks, they're probably going to be like the 90s or low 100s. So just really leaning towards the under 217.5, as I don't expect like crazy 3-point shooting from both teams, like below average for an NBA game. Nothing too wild, but going to see probably just some messy offense by the Knicks, and then the Knicks' defense will affect the role players of Denver, that's for sure, but not so much Jokic. For Milwaukee at the Lakers, so I don't know why the spread for this game is so close, but there's 2 reasons for that. It's like all the players are there for the Lakers. Well, the main players for the Lakers are there. James, Westbrook, and Davis. And can't forget about Monk. And then Milwaukee, they just are just one of those teams who don't show up for all their games, but I think against the Lakers, as you know, every team wants to beat the Lakers. It's like it's got to play the Lakers like it's the finals game 7. Like just gotta win that game. But in general, like Milwaukee should win this game. Like who's gonna slow down Giannis on the Lakers? Like they're going to try and build a wall, but the Lakers defense is non-existent this year. They just show up when it's like, I guess when it's randomly needed. But I just have to take Milwaukee winning this game. They should win this by like 12. But minus 4.5 seems pretty safe. I will be going under 230.5, as I expect Milwaukee's defense to really slow down the Lakers. Like as long as they can force the ball into Westbrook's hand, I'm going to see a lot of turnovers, a lot of misplays by him. As long as they keep it out of like LeBron's or Anthony Davis's hand, or just force him to just shoot some outside shots, Lakers will have a hard time on offense. Then Milwaukee, they can score a lot of points. Like I believe they had like 137 in their last game. But they also have those games where it's like, oh, we're just going to score like 98 points. That's it. It's like, what are you doing? But hence why I'm going under 230.5, because that's where they have the spread right now, is at 230.5. But that seems a little high for this game. For Minnesota at Sacramento, I'll be going with Minnesota minus 4. I have no idea why this game is so close as is. Go with Minnesota minus 4. Like the main person out for Minnesota is Russell, who just came back last game, but I guess he had some shin soreness. But it's like you still got your main players in Towns and Edwards, and no one on the Kings can really slow down those two. So Minnesota should really blow out the Kings out of the water, as Minnesota need to keep their spot in the playoffs. We'll be going over 220.5, as Kings play no defense, so Minnesota will have free reign on threes. Like if Malik Beasley gets going, then yeah, this is game over. Then over 228.5, yeah, because Minnesota can get going. Sacramento, they're an offensive team. Like when they win, it's not because of their defense. It's because of their offense, because they chuck a lot of shots up. And then Minnesota's defense, like they just play a faster paced game. It's like both teams do that, so there's just gonna be a lot of more shots on, like just in general in the game, which that just leads to more shots made. Like if they just shoot average, just because there's more shots made, that means there's gonna be more shots made. So over 228.5. For the Magic at Portland, I'll have to go with Orlando plus 3.5. So Portland, I don't know what they're doing, and Magic have been playing better more recently. Pretty much if the Magic's offense gets going, I think that's gonna be game over. And Portland's defense, not really there. Offense here and there, but now with Norman Powell not on the team, it's all on McCollum to lead Portland. And I personally never had faith in him, so now I really don't have faith in Portland. So I'll just have to lean towards Magic plus 3.5, likely a win. I will be going over 214.5, as if the Magic do win, I will say it will be due to their offense. And then their defense isn't great, so there's enough 3-point shooters on Portland for them to keep it close, keep it interesting. this would be like a higher scoring game for what they've been doing recently, because Portland's has some really bad games, but they stay like relatively close all game. They're not like beaten down like out of the picture. And then Orlando, they don't have that killer instinct because they're a young team, just like blow a team out of the water in the first half. So should be a close game overall. Thank you for watching, and leave any comments for player props or anything like that. And once again, thanks for watching.